Your mind is a jar in which you dump things, some of them knowingly, some of them unknowingly.
We learn about life through questions.
How do we manage that in a relationship?
Can it also affect the circumstances?
Are they able to really understand anything?
Why all these three things are linked together?
So, what do we do with social media?
To answer some of these, Mr. Praveen Mankar, founder of Pratibimb Charitable Trust, brings to you Face to Face. This week, we are talking about fundamentals of the mind.
We all know that we are body, mind and soul wrapped into one good package of a human being. Today we will dwell on what is mind, its basics, and learn from Sir what it is about. So what do you think, what is mind? Is it a physical entity or a non-physical entity?
Mind is a box. If it was a physical entity, the medical profession would have found it. In surgery, you would have discovered, okay, like you have locations for the heart, the liver, the pancreas, the brain, you would have found a location for the mind. You don't find mind in a particular place. So it is obviously not a physical entity. Mind is an abstract entity. We need to first understand what is the mind. Before you answer the question, where is the mind, you need to know what is the mind. Mind is a collection of thoughts at any given point of time, and therefore mind keeps changing because our thoughts keep changing. Whatever I am thinking right now will not be my thought say 5 minutes later. So my mind has changed, but that's the conscious part of my mind, which means that I am aware of what I am thinking, but there are several thoughts that are going on in my mind of which I am not aware. So there is an awareness mind and there is an unaware mind, which people normally call as the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So if you look at a human body, basically two components of the same mind, one is the conscious component and the other is the subconscious component. But if you look at it universally, there are two other minds that play a role in your life. So one mind is called the universal mind. The other component is the society mind, which means the influence that your society has on you wherever you are born and brought up. Let's say a more global picture. So you are born in an American society or you are born in an Indian society. So the cultures are different, the traditions are different, the beliefs are different, the faiths are different. So here is a society that is influencing you because you were born and brought up in India. And there is another society which is in the US where people are born and brought up there. So that society has a different influence on the individual born and brought up in that land. So essentially now we are talking of four minds.
So basically you are talking about four parts of the mind.
Yeah, universal, society, conscious mind, subconscious mind. So there are four components of the mind.
So there is some basic strata or a substrate over which all these are added up. So let us say there is one basic mind over which society mind is added. Or
let's look at it from the point of view of a container.
Okay.
So let's say you went to the market and purchased a bottle or a jar with a lid. So that empty jar, so it's a jar kept on your table and whatever comes to your hand, you will start dumping it in that jar. Some of the articles are useful articles, some of the articles are not so useful articles, but out of human nature, you tend to dump things. So you have started dumping things in that jar. So basically your mind is a jar in which you dump things, some of them knowingly, some of them unknowingly. When you are born, you have no concept, your mind is empty, so you are the empty jar.
Okay.
Now people around you, your society starts communicating with you. Verbal communication, body language communication, atmospheric communication, traditional communication, cultural communication, all that becomes an input for you. So your jar is receiving that up to a stage where your faculty of judgment starts developing.
Okay.
Now you have come to a stage where you are able to judge, this is good for me, this is not good for me. So whatever is good for you according to you, you will accept and fill in the bottle. Whatever is not good for you, you will reject and not fill in the bottle. Now, this sounds a little bit abstract, so let me give you a concrete example. A child is born. The parents don't have the economic means to take care of the child, so they leave the child on the street and they run away.
Okay.
Okay. A couple comes and sees that child. The couple wants a baby, they are not able to get a baby, so they decide to adopt this child. God has blessed us, we got a ready-made baby on the street, let us adopt this baby. Now, this couple belongs to the Hindu tradition.
Okay.
Do you think this child growing up with this couple will ever go to a church or a masjid?
Yeah, I agree. So that is society
He
mind.
will not, because he is molded by the society. His bottle has been filled with Hindu beliefs and Hindu tradition.
Okay.
One example. Same child, different couple. Christian couple comes, picks up the child and takes. Will he go to a temple or a masjid?
No, he will
he'll
go
go
to
to a church. The bottle was the same, but now filled with ideas of the Christian faith. So, the color applied to the conscious thinking and the subconscious emotion is the society influence. Now, you will also see that one person of a particular faith converts to a different faith. So, what happened to his society? His society is not having that influence on his mind as other societies in which he is moving around is having. So, maybe I am born as a Christian,
But I want to become a Muslim.
but my friends are all Muslims and they have influenced me, and their influence is more powerful than the influence of my parents and my family, and therefore I convert.
Okay.
So, the whole play is of the society on your mind, and the dominant force takes precedence.
So a person's personality or beliefs, all these or even emotions, they are all being brought up by the society mind's
Yes,
inputs.
absolutely. It's a
So there
stamp
is-
which is put on your forehead.
So there is no role of the other parts of the mind like subconscious mind or the universal
Your
mind here.
beliefs are in the subconscious mind,
No, beliefs are put by the society mind into the subconscious mind.
into the conscious mind.
Okay.
Nothing goes directly into the subconscious mind.
Okay.
Your conscious mind is the gatekeeper at the doorway of the subconscious
Yeah,
mind.
I agree.
What is your conscious mind? Your conscious mind is the reasoning mind, the logical mind, the thinking mind. If I come and tell you certain things, you will apply your logic. What this guy is saying makes sense, let me take it.
Okay.
Or you will say, what this guy is talking is nonsense, reject it. If you take it, it becomes part of you. If you reject it, it's not part of you. Again, taking the same example of that child, he was developed by the Hindu parents,
Okay.
and whenever he saw a temple, his hands automatically folded in reverence.
Yeah.
The same child sees a church or a mosque,
He will not.
for him it's only a structure. There is no reverence attached to it.
Yeah, true.
Who cultivated this mind? The society in which he was brought up. So the society gives you a rubber stamp, and then you live by that rubber stamp.
Okay.
You were not born with that rubber stamp. Your beliefs were planted, you were conditioned into believing certain things, and this joining of hands becomes an automatic action from the subconscious. You are not thinking, oh, this is a temple, so I must. Now you know the structure of a temple, and all temples don't look alike, but the minute you say it is a temple, your hands fold. The minute you say it's a church, okay. The minute you say it's a mosque, okay.
So mind is empty bottle, as you said at the beginning, and then whatever is planted into it makes you the personality.
Yes.
So let us say thought per se is the food we give to the mind,
No.
or is it created by the mind?
Thought is not a food. Thought is the trigger.
Okay.
The food comes from your senses.
Okay.
You see things, you hear things, you smell things, you taste things, you touch things. When you react to your senses,
That is
your
thought.
perception of senses, then you have a thought. So, my eyes saw your face. My brain looked at your complexion, your facial structure, and something clicked. I liked what I saw. I start saying, looks to be a nice person. In my own mind, I am thinking, looks to be a nice person. Take another case. I saw your face. I didn't like your skin color. I didn't like your eyes. I didn't like your mustache. I didn't like my thought process is not a nice person. I have no basis. I have no basis. I haven't interacted with you. There is my first impression that you are a nice person or not a nice person.
Where did you get that thought?
Where did I get that thought is a good thing. Now there is some influence on me. There were certain faces around me with whom I grew up from childhood.
So all those
certain faces I started liking, certain faces I started disliking. Let's take the common problem of the world, the black and the white.
Racism.
If I am born in a white society and I suddenly see a black face, inadvertently, my mind has picked up the concept of blacks are not nice. So when I grow up and I see a black face, something is wrong. So where did that trigger come? The trigger came from the inputs of the society, not deliberately planted, but picked up as I grew up. I saw all the adults who were white reacting in a particular manner towards black. I heard some whispered conversations which were not favorable. My mind started differentiating in skin color. The same is true for religion. The same is true for language. The same is true for economic status. The same is true for structures. I am tall and lean and you are short and stout.
All beliefs again.
So what is this? This is the influence of the society. How do I look at it? You see how sometimes we make careless remarks like, "Hey jadya." Hey jadya. We say jadya. The child is listening to the adults talking like this. So in his mind, jadya is something derogatory.
True.
So when he sees a stout person, some trigger, which is a cultivation of the society around him. So I think upbringing react to triggers.
Yeah. So that means the upbringing plays a very, very important role.
Huge, and we are very careless in our upbringing. We are not conscious of what we are doing. We leave education to the schools and the teachers, but education is every moment the newborn baby has with you. And we are not conscious of what we are doing. The baby is watching, the baby is listening, the baby is smelling, the baby is touching. And we are cultivating certain likes and dislikes. But who cultivated that taste? You cultivated that taste.
Does this breathing or when we do pranayam, as you say, change the pattern of thoughts?
What happens when you breathe? You are taking in air.
Air contains oxygen.
But air is just a vehicle.
Yeah.
It contains a chemical substance called oxygen, which is by and large purifier of the blood, simply by burning up impurities and throwing out the carbon dioxide, which is the waste product, and you purify the blood. But this is the physiology. There is another substance that comes in along with the air and oxygen, which is not yet in the realm of science. But there is a logic behind that substance, and I will explain that in a minute. That substance is known as energy, prana energy.
Okay.
And most religions agree that breath is life. I mean, you can stop eating food and stop drinking water and you will still survive for a couple of days very easily, maybe even more, without food and water. Try stopping breathing. If you try stopping breathing, two things happen. A, you stop living. B, your body temperature goes down. A dead body becomes cold body.
Right.
As long as you have that prana energy inside you, the life force inside you, your body is warm.
Okay.
The minute you stop breathing, the body becomes cold. That didn't happen when you stopped eating food. That didn't happen when you stopped drinking water. Your body was still warm. Why? Because your breath was going on. But the minute you stop breathing, your body becomes cold, which means that energy factor is a strong component in your breath, which is not yet in the realm of science.
Okay.
So this energy factor is the third component that you are taking in. Now what does this energy do? This energy retains the condition of health of every cell in your body. Every cell in your body is a specialized cell with its own structure with its own chemistry and with its own function. Now when the health of a particular cell is maintained, normalcy is maintained.
Okay.
But when you breathe less, there is a disturbance in the chemistry of the cell,
So,
and normalcy is now reducing, which reflects in the form of disease. So, when you ask the question, if I breathe well, will my mental health be all right? Yes and no. Yes, because physiologically your cells are maintained. No, because depends on what society you come from.
True.
So, though you are breathing good, you are cultivated in a violent environment, or you are cultivated in a environment of hatred,
then you will be the same. It doesn't change.
your breathing doesn't change anything. In fact, it makes you even more robust and more violent.
Yeah. It's just the tip of the iceberg, or as you always say, it's the Pandora's box. So today we learnt the fundamentals or basics of the mind. So as Kabir said, man ke hare haar or man ke hage jeet.
If you have some questions about life, please connect with us. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and press the bell icon for weekly updates.